The setback they cheered for becomes your comeback. There comes a moment in every person's life when the weight of what they've been through becomes too heavy to hide, yet too meaningful to regret. A moment when you look back at every storm, every betrayal, every quiet tear shed in the dark, and you realize something powerful. You survived what was designed to break you. And not only did you survive, you grew. You transformed. You developed a strength that no applause could give you and no enemy could take away. This is the moment when your story stops being about the pain that happened to you and starts being about the greatness rising within you. Life has a way of testing those who are meant to carry something extraordinary. It stretches them. It shakes them. It strips them. It places them in seasons where nothing makes sense, and yet everything is shaping them. You may have walked through doors that were slammed in your face, and you may have trusted people who later revealed they were rooting for your downfall, not your rise. But even in the darkest of those moments, there was something inside you, a fire, a resilience, a quiet determination that refused to die. And that alone is proof that your story isn't finished. It's evolving. People may have counted you out because they couldn't count your strength. They may have looked at your setback as the end of your journey, but they didn't understand your spirit. They didn't know what God was preparing behind the scenes. They saw you lose something, but they didn't see the character you gained. They saw you being delayed, but they didn't see destiny being aligned. They watched you fall, but they didn't expect you to rise with more power than before. They underestimated you because they only looked at the moment, not the purpose behind the moment. What they didn't realize is that champions aren't crowned in comfort. They're forged in adversity. Every trial becomes training. Every loss becomes learning. Every challenge becomes the chisel that shapes the masterpiece. And you, right now, are in the middle of becoming something far greater than what you once believed. You're stepping into a version of yourself that only pain could have unlocked and only faith could have sustained. So if you're listening to this today, hear this clearly. Your story is not over. You may be tired, bruised, misunderstood, or overlooked, but you are still here. You still have breath. You still have purpose. And the very fact that you survived what others thought would crush you is proof that your comeback is already in motion. You were not created to remain broken. You were created to rise, to rebuild, to reclaim the parts of you that life tried to steal, and to walk boldly into the future you deserve. This is not the season to doubt yourself. This is the season to remember who you are, who you've always been, beneath the hurt, beneath the disappointment, beneath the battles that nearly took you out. You are stronger now, wiser now, more focused now. And the parts of you that were once fragile have become fortified with purpose. Your scars are not signs of defeat. They are symbols of survival, reminders that you faced what others never knew and still found a way to stand tall. As you step forward today, do it with confidence. Do it with clarity. Do it with the understanding that everything you lost is being replaced with something greater. The doors that closed were not a rejection. They were redirection. The people who walked away did not leave a void. They created room for better. The pain you felt wasn't punishment. It was preparation. And every tear watered the ground for your next season of growth. This is your moment, your shift, your turning point. The world hasn't even seen the best of you yet, but they will. And when you rise, because you will rise, your comeback will silence every doubt, every critic, every voice that tried to limit you. You are stepping into a chapter where your strength is louder than your struggle and your purpose is greater than your past. Your time is here, your rise is inevitable, and your story is about to turn into the very testimony that will inspire others to keep standing, keep believing, and keep fighting. This is your comeback season. Walk into it with power. Your delay was never your defeat. There comes a moment in every person's life when the world misunderstands your pause. They misread your quiet seasons. They look at your delay as if it is the final chapter of your story. They think your stillness means surrender, your silence means loss, and your detour means defeat. But what they don't realize is that destiny doesn't run on their clock. Purpose doesn't move according to applause, and your breakthrough is not shaped by their expectations. Your delay was never your defeat. Because delay is often the hidden strategy of elevation. Sometimes life slows you down on purpose, not because you're unworthy, not because you're incapable, but because there is something inside you that needs time to grow, time to strengthen, time to mature, time to align. There are seasons where God pulls you back like a bow, not to restrict you, but to launch you farther than you could have ever gone on your own. And while people around you may laugh, may whisper, may celebrate because they think your story is collapsing, what they don't see is that you're not breaking down. You're building up pressure. You're gathering wisdom. You're preparing for impact. You see, every destiny-driven person goes through a waiting season, and it is in that waiting season where the real work happens. Not the public work, but the private work. The kind of work that doesn't get recognition, doesn't get validation, doesn't get applause. The kind of work that happens behind closed doors, in the late hours, in the quiet spaces, where no one sees the tears, the prayers, the sacrifices, because what the world calls delay, purpose calls development. What the world calls stagnation, destiny calls preparation. But when people saw you slow down, they assumed you were weak. When they saw you step back, they assumed you were done. They didn't know that some steps back are intentional, some steps back are strategic. You don't lose anything by pausing. You gain clarity, strength, insight, and direction. Delays refine you. They polish your character, sharpen your discernment, and build a resilience inside you that cannot be shaken by opinions, judgment, or betrayal. And let me tell you this, the people who counted you out were counting too early. They were celebrating too soon. They misunderstood the process and underestimated the promise. They saw the moment, but they didn't see the mission. They watched the setback, but they couldn't see the setup. They saw the chapter, but they had no idea how the whole story ends. Because if they did, they would have never celebrated your delay. There are people in your life right now who are comfortable seeing you in the same place. They clapped when you fell because they never wanted you to rise. They smiled when things slowed down for you because they were afraid of your speed. They felt relief when life humbled you because they feared the heights you were destined to reach. But here's the truth. No delay can stop a person who is chosen. No setback can silence a person with purpose. No closed door can imprison someone whose calling is bigger than opposition. Your delay was never your defeat. It was the divine pause that protected you from premature elevation. Because sometimes rising too fast can destroy you. Getting what you prayed for before you are ready can crush you. Being exposed to success too early can break you. That is why the delay was not a punishment. It was protection. Protection from stepping into rooms you weren't yet prepared to sustain. Protection from carrying blessings you weren't yet strong enough to hold. Protection from embracing victories you didn't yet understand how to handle. And while the world saw you slowing down, heaven saw you growing up. While they saw a setback, heaven saw strengthening. While they thought you were shrinking, heaven was stretching you, stretching your capacity, your mindset, your spirit, stretching your patience, your faith, your vision. You were not losing anything in that delay. You were gaining everything that truly matters. Think about a seed. When it is planted, it disappears beneath the soil. No one sees it. No one celebrates it. No one acknowledges its existence. People walk over it. They forget about it. They assume it is lifeless. But the seed is not dead. It is developing. And the deeper it goes, the stronger it becomes. The more hidden it is, the more potential it gathers. The longer it stays underground, the higher it will eventually rise. And when the seed finally breaks through the soil, the same people who ignored it will marvel at its growth. That is you. Your delay was underground development. They didn't see you. They didn't hear you. They didn't value you. But your roots were growing. Your foundation was strengthening. Your character was being shaped for something far greater than the season of silence. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are in alignment with a timeline that is bigger, wiser, and more powerful than any human expectation. The delay was part of the architecture of your destiny. And when the doors finally open, when the breakthrough finally arrives, when the moment finally comes for you to rise, it will be undeniable. It will be unstoppable. And it will make sense why you had to wait. Because when you rise after being delayed, you rise differently. You rise with humility. You rise with maturity. You rise with gratitude. You rise with insight. You rise with a strength that no enemy can crush and no setback can break. You rise with a purpose that cannot be manipulated by opinions or controlled by fear. You rise with a fire that burns brighter because it was birthed in the dark. Your delay taught you endurance. It taught you patience. It taught you how to trust the process even when the outcome was unclear. It taught you how to stand firm when everything inside you wanted to collapse. It taught you how to rely on faith when resources ran low. It taught you how to believe in yourself when the world doubted you. You learned lessons in that delay that will carry you further than any victory ever could. So don't regret the slow seasons. Don't despise the quiet chapters. Don't look back in anger at the moments that felt stagnant. They were not wasted. They were essential. Because the version of you that will rise from this delay is wiser, sharper, stronger, more focused, and more powerful than the version that walked into it. You are not who you were before the setback. You have evolved. You have elevated. You have transformed. And soon the world will see that the delay did not break you. It built you. It shaped you. It refined you. It prepared you to come back with a force they cannot deny. When you step into your next season, people will realize that your delay was not defeat. It was destiny. And the very setback they cheered for will become the comeback that redefines your entire life. Their laughter will become their lesson. There is a certain kind of laughter that echoes louder than words, the kind that isn't rooted in joy, but rooted in judgment, the kind that comes from people who don't truly know your story, your struggle, or your strength. They laugh because they think your setback is permanent. They laugh because they believe your fall is final. They laugh because they have convinced themselves that where you are now is where you will always remain. But what they forget is that the story is still unfolding. What they fail to understand is that life has a way of turning those who laugh today into witnesses of miracles tomorrow. Their laughter will become their lesson, not because you wish them harm, but because your rise will teach them what their ignorance could not. There are people in your life who clap the loudest when you fall. They don't clap to encourage you. They clap to celebrate what they think is the end of your potential. They saw you stumble and assumed you were done. They saw you hurting and assumed you were weak. They saw one chapter and believed they knew the whole book. But life has a way of humbling those who judge too quickly. Life has a way of teaching those who rejoice at someone's pain that destiny does not respond to their applause or their mockery. Your setback is temporary, but their lesson will be permanent. The truth is, people are quick to laugh at what they don't understand. They see your struggle, but not your preparation. They see your silence, but not your strategy. They see your pause, but not your promise. And in their limited perspective, they believe that where you are now defines where you are going. They don't realize you're rebuilding. They don't realize you are growing. They don't realize you are aligning with something greater than opinion, gossip, or judgment. They laugh because they are short-sighted. They mock because they don't have the vision to see what's coming. Their laughter doesn't mean you're failing. It means they're failing to comprehend your purpose. They judge you through the lens of their own limitations. They measure you with the ruler of their own insecurity. They laugh because they are comfortable seeing you below them. Your struggles validate their pride. Your setbacks soothe their ego. Your pause gives them the illusion of being ahead. But that illusion is temporary, because the moment you rise, and you will rise, their laughter will turn into silence, and that silence will become the most powerful lesson they ever learn. What they fail to grasp is that your pain is not wasted, your hurt is not in vain. Every tear, every disappointment, every betrayal is shaping a version of you that no amount of gossip can destroy. The very moments they mocked are the ones molding your strength. The situations they use to shame you are the same ones sharpening your wisdom. You are being refined. They are being revealed. Your setback shows your character. Their laughter shows theirs. You were not meant to stay in the valley. You were not made to remain in the storm. You are destined for higher levels, greater breakthroughs, and deeper purpose. And when you rise, the very people who thought they had you figured out will realize they were never qualified to interpret your journey. Their laughter was based on assumptions, but your comeback will be based on truth. And truth is louder than mockery. Truth is stronger than ridicule. Truth is undeniable. Understand this, your comeback will not only elevate you, it will educate them, not with words, but with results, not with arguments, but with transformation, not with revenge, but with resilience. Because nothing teaches a person faster than seeing someone they underestimated break every limitation placed on their name. When you walk into rooms they never thought you'd enter, when you achieve goals they believed were too high for you, when you rise to levels they tried to keep you from, their laughter will collapse under the weight of your success. The same people who said you were done will whisper, "How did they do it?" The same people who mocked your struggle will wonder, "How did they survive?" The same people who dismissed your dreams will say, "We always knew they had it in them," even though their actions prove otherwise. This is how life works. People rewrite history when your victory becomes obvious. But you don't rise for them. You rise because you were built for more. There will come a day when the people who laughed at your pain will regret underestimating your strength. Not because you seek revenge, but because your success exposes their shallow understanding of who you truly are. They assumed your struggle meant weakness. They assumed your setback meant surrender. They assumed your delay meant decline. They didn't know that you were being strengthened, purified, and positioned. People love to judge from distance. They love to assume from the outside. They love to critique from the comfort of their own insecurities. But they do not know the wars you're fighting. They do not know the nights you spent crying. They do not know the resilience you were forced to build. If they walked a mile in your shoes, they wouldn't laugh. They would fall to their knees. But the beauty of your journey is this. You don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Your results will speak louder than your explanations ever could. Your rise will silence more voices than your arguments ever will. Because the greatest clapback is not anger, not bitterness, not revenge. It is elevation. And when you elevate, they will remember their laughter, not with pride, but with regret. They will look back and realize they misjudged you, they underestimated you, they mocked the very foundation that was preparing you for greatness. That is how lessons are taught, not through confrontation, but through transfer. So let them laugh, let them mock, let them talk. None of it can stop what is coming for you. Their laughter is temporary, but your rise will be permanent. Their judgment is shallow, but your purpose is deep. Their assumptions are weak, but your destiny is unshakable. What they fail to understand now, life will teach them in time. Because when your comeback arrives, and it will be so powerful, so undeniable, so breathtaking, that the only thing left for them to do is learn. Your journey will educate them more than your words ever could, and the very laughter that was once used to hurt you will become the reason they never underestimate another person again. You are not finished, you are only getting started, and soon the world and your doubters will learn that the setback they laughed at was simply the beginning of a story they were never prepared to see unfold. Your faith is your fuel for the return. There comes a moment in every battle, every broken season, every silent night when your strength runs low. Your hope grows thin, and the world expects you to surrender. They look at your wounds and assume you're finished. They look at your delays and assume you've been denied. They look at your setbacks and assume your story has ended. But what they cannot see, what they will never fully understand, is the faith that still lives in you, the quiet fire, the inner conviction, the belief that whispers, "This is not where my story ends." Because your faith is not a decoration, it's not an accessory, it's your fuel. It's the engine that turns your setback into a comeback. It's the reason you rise when everything around you tells you to stay down. Faith is not built in comfort. Faith grows in the dark. It grows when you're surrounded by uncertainty. It grows when you don't understand the why, the how, or the when. It grows when everything collapses, but something inside you refuses to break. Faith is the force that keeps you steady when the ground beneath you shakes. It is the courage that keeps you moving when your heart is tired. It is the strength that sustains you when you have nothing left but a whisper of hope. And that whisper is enough. Because faith doesn't need clarity to function, it only needs willingness. You see, people misunderstand faith. They think faith is a shield that prevents hardship. But true faith doesn't stop storms. It teaches you how to walk through them. True faith doesn't eliminate the valley. It shapes you in it. True faith doesn't keep you away from setbacks. It converts those setbacks into setups for greater purpose. And this is why your faith is dangerous to those who want to see you fail. They can see you wounded, but they cannot see your spirit. They can see your silence, but they cannot see your fire. They can see your delay, but they cannot see your destiny. They can see your setback, but they cannot see the comeback being designed behind the scenes. Your faith is not just belief, it is expectation. A quiet, unshakable expectation that the story will turn, the tide will shift, the storm will pass, the door will open, the season will change. And when you expect something different, you attract something different. Your faith draws breakthrough toward you. Your faith rearranges the path. Your faith sets things in motion that your eyes cannot yet see. And that unseen movement is what makes your enemies uncomfortable. They thought your silence meant surrender. They thought your losses meant defeat. They thought your setbacks meant collapse. But they didn't realize you were being rebuilt, re-energized, and repositioned by a power greater than any challenge. Faith is the difference between a person who stays down and a person who rises again. Faith tells you, this hurt you, but it will not stop you. Faith tells you, this knocked you down, but it did not take you out. Faith tells you, this is temporary, and something greater is being prepared. Faith lifts your chin when your tears weigh heavy. Faith steadies your hands when fear tries to shake them. Faith pushes you forward when doubt tries to pull you backward. And most importantly, faith reminds you that setbacks are not dead ends. They are detours to better destinations. The truth is, your comeback is not powered by applause, validation, or support from the world. Your comeback is powered by your belief in something beyond your circumstances, something bigger than your pain, something stronger than your fear, something deeper than your disappointment. It is your faith that redefines what is possible. It is your faith that keeps your heart alive when everything around you seems lifeless. It is your faith that tells you the story is still being written, even when others have closed the book on you. Faith is what makes you resilient. Resilient enough to stand again. Resilient enough to try again. Resilient enough to believe again. The kind of resilience that scares those who wish to see you fail, because they cannot understand how someone who has been broken so many times can still hold hope. They don't understand that faith is not based on circumstances, it's based on conviction. You're not strong because everything went right. You are strong because you held on even when everything was falling apart. And here is the truth they will never see coming. Your faith is about to turn the very setback they mocked into the very comeback they never imagined. When you rise, and you will rise, it will not be because things finally became easy. It will be because your faith weathered the storm long enough for the sun to reappear. You will rise because your faith held you together when nothing else could. You will rise because your faith created possibilities where there were none. You will rise because your faith pushed you beyond every limit, every doubt, every fear that tried to suffocate your purpose. Your faith is not passive. It works, it moves, it builds, it strengthens, it transforms. And while the world sees nothing happening, faith is working behind the scenes, moving pieces into alignment, opening doors you haven't even knocked on yet, preparing blessings you haven't even prayed for yet, clearing paths you haven't even walked yet. And when everything finally comes together, people will call it sudden, they will call it luck, they will call it unexpected, but you will know the truth. It was not sudden, it was not luck, and it was not unexpected. It was faith. It was the faith that carried you through the nights of uncertainty, the days of silence, and the seasons of waiting. Your comeback will be powerful because it will be built on faith, not ego. Faith makes you grateful instead of prideful. Faith makes you wise instead of impulsive. Faith makes you soft-hearted yet unbreakable. Faith makes you move with purpose instead of panic. Faith makes you rise without having to push anyone down. Faith gives you peace while you rebuild, strength while you recover, and vision while you rise. And when your comeback happens, it will not just elevate you, it will inspire others. People will look at your journey and realize that it was not your talent alone, not your strength alone, not your intelligence alone that brought you through. It was something deeper, something spiritual, something internal, something that cannot be measured, touched, or explained. It was faith, and that faith will shine so brightly that even those who doubted you will have to acknowledge its power. So hold your faith close, guard it, protect it, feed it, and lean on it. Because there will be days when faith is all you have, and on those days, faith will be enough. Faith is what turns a setback into the greatest comeback of your life. Faith is what ignites the fire inside you. Faith is what gives you the courage to rise again and again and again, no matter how hard you've been hit. You are not done. You are not defeated. You are being prepared for something greater than the pain you've endured. And when the world sees your comeback, they will realize that your faith was never a weakness, it was your greatest strength. Your rise will silence every doubt. There is a moment in every comeback story when the noise around you begins to fade, not because people choose to be quiet, but because your rise forces them into silence. Doubt is loud when you are down. Opinions echo when you are struggling. Critics speak boldly when they think you have no strength left to respond. But when you rise, when you elevate, when you transform, when you step into the version of yourself that life has been molding in the dark, something powerful happens. Every doubt collapses under the weight of your growth. Your rise becomes the answer to every question. Your strength becomes the response to every insult. Your progress becomes the rebuttal to every prediction made against you. And that silence is louder than any applause you could ever receive. People doubt what they don't understand. They doubt what they fear. They doubt what they can't control. When you were struggling, stumbling, or stuck in a season of uncertainty, they felt comfortable doubting you. They felt confident counting you out. Doubt is easy when someone is in a valley. Doubt feels justified when someone is walking through a storm. But what they didn't see is that the valley was building your endurance. The storm was shaping your resilience. The struggle was constructing your inner strength. They doubted you because they misread your process. They judged the chapter without ever understanding the plot. Your rise will silence every doubt, not because you force anyone to believe in you, but because your transformation becomes undeniable. When you elevate, you don't need to argue. You don't need to seek validation. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. The growth speaks for itself. And there is nothing more humbling to a doubter than watching the person they counted out rise into a version of themselves that is stronger, wiser, and more powerful than before. Every setback you survived has prepared you for this rise. Every disappointment shaped your character. Every betrayal sharpened your discernment. Every delay strengthened your patience. Your rise isn't accidental, it's intentional. It's built on nights of perseverance, moments of courage, and decisions you made when nobody was watching. You didn't rise because life became easier. You rose because you became stronger. You rose because you refused to stay down. You rose because your purpose outweighed your pain. People saw your season of silence and assumed it was a season of surrender. But silence is often the breeding ground for strength. When you stopped explaining yourself, when you stopped seeking validation, when you stopped proving your worth to people who were committed to misunderstanding you, that's when your rise truly began. Growth doesn't require an audience. Elevation doesn't need an announcement. You were rising long before the world noticed. And now that your rise is visible, their doubts can no longer survive in the presence of your transformation. Doubt feeds on weakness, but you are no longer who you used to be. You have rebuilt yourself from the inside out. You have learned how to stand in storms without shaking. You have learned how to love yourself through seasons of uncertainty. You have learned how to trust the process even when the future looked blurry. You have learned how to find your worth without anyone else's approval, and most importantly, you have learned how to believe in yourself again. That belief is the foundation of your rise. There will come a day, soon, when the same people who doubted your potential will question their own judgment. They will look at your progress, your discipline, your transformation, and they will realize they miscalculated your strength. They underestimated your endurance. They misread your silence. They failed to recognize that you were not breaking down, you were breaking through. Your rise is not just a moment. It's a message that no amount of doubt can destroy destiny, a message that no number of critics can stop calling, a message that no setback, no betrayal, no failure can cancel purpose. Your rise is proof that greatness is not measured by how many times you fall, but by how fiercely you stand back up. As you elevate, something beautiful happens. You stop caring about who doubted you, and you start focusing on who you are becoming. You stop replaying the voices that once discouraged you, and you start listening to the voice inside you that always believed you could rise. You stop waiting for closure from people who wrong you, and you start closing chapters yourself. You stop giving energy to what broke you, and you start investing in what builds you. And you start investing in what builds you. And that shift, that internal shift, is what silences doubt long before your success becomes visible. Because doubt cannot survive in a heart that believes. Doubt cannot thrive in a mind that is focused. Doubt cannot win against a spirit that refuses to quit. Your rise will not only silence the doubts of others, it will silence the doubts you had about yourself, the doubts that whispered you were not enough, the doubts that told you your dreams were unrealistic, the doubts that convinced you your setback was permanent, the doubts that made you question your own worth. But when you rise, confidence replaces fear, vision replaces confusion, purpose replaces hesitation, hope replaces insecurity. Your comeback becomes the proof that everything you went through had meaning, had purpose, had intention. Your rise will be so powerful that it will rewrite the narrative others tried to create about you. Those who said you would never recover will watch you rebuild with grace. Those who assumed you were finished will witness you rise with strength. Those who tried to stop you will realize they were never capable of limiting someone chosen for greatness. Your elevation will not require revenge. It will require patience. Your rise doesn't need bitterness. It needs focus. You don't need to confront anyone. You simply need to continue growing, continue believing, continue walking in purpose. Time will take care of the rest. Results will silence doubt more effectively than arguments ever could. There is a comeback inside you that is bigger than the setback behind you. There is a future ahead of you that is brighter than the pain you've endured. There is a version of you waiting to emerge, stronger, wiser, more confident, and more aligned with your purpose than ever before. And when that version rises, every doubt, every whisper, every insult will fall silent, because truth always outshines assumption. Purpose always overpowers criticism. Faith always outlives fear. Your rise is coming. Your elevation is unfolding. Your transformation is happening. And when it's complete, the world will understand what you already know. You were never defeated. You were developing. You were never denied. You were being prepared. You were never broken. You were being rebuilt. You will rise higher than where you fell. There is a powerful truth that life eventually teaches every strong soul. The place where you fall is not the place where you rise. When life knocks you down, when circumstances break you open, when betrayal shakes your core, the fall may feel final, but it is never the end. What you lost cannot compare to what you are about to gain. What you suffered cannot compete with what you're about to step into. The valley may feel deep, but the mountain waiting for you is higher. You will not rise back to where you were, no. You will rise higher, much higher. And that rise will be so remarkable that the people who doubted you, underestimated you, and counted you out will not be able to comprehend the strength of your comeback. The reason you rise higher than where you fell is because the fall teaches you what the climb never could. The fall teaches you humility. It teaches you patience. It teaches you discernment. It teaches you who is real and who is temporary. It teaches you how to trust your inner guidance instead of public applause. The fall strips you of illusions, of unhealthy attachments, of misplaced trust. It breaks down the version of you that was not meant to follow you into your next level. And though it hurts, that breaking is necessary, because the version of you that will rise is wiser, stronger, and more aligned with purpose than the version of you that fell. When people cheered your setback, they thought it was your ending. They believed you were finished because they judged you by the moment, not by the destiny inside you. They didn't realize that the fall awakened something in you, a fire, a determination, a clarity. Something powerful began moving inside your spirit the moment everything around you fell apart. You started seeing things differently. You started walking differently. You stopped tolerating what drained you. You stopped believing the lies people told about you. You stopped shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. The fall didn't destroy you, it revealed you. And once a person is revealed, rising becomes inevitable. You will rise higher because you have learned how to rebuild from nothing. You have learned how to fight battles alone. You have learned how to keep going even when your heart was tired. That kind of strength cannot be taken away. That kind of strength cannot be faked. That kind of strength becomes the foundation of your next chapter. When you rise now, you rise with wisdom you didn't have before. You rise with discipline forged through hardship. You rise with resilience shaped by pain. You rise with spiritual strength rooted in faith. And that is why your comeback will elevate you to levels you've never seen. People who cheered for your setback underestimated who you were becoming. They saw the fall, but they didn't see the growth happening inside you. They saw your tears, but they didn't see your prayers. They saw your silence, but they didn't see your strategy. They saw your loneliness, but they didn't see your healing. They saw your pain, but they didn't see your preparation. They saw the end of a chapter, but they didn't see the beginning of your transformation. Now, when you rise, they will see the version of you they never expected, a version of you that outgrew their assumptions, their opinions, and their limitations. Your rise will surprise many, but it will not surprise you, because deep down, even in your hardest moments, you knew you were not done. Something inside you told you to hold on. Something inside you kept whispering that there was more life, more purpose, more strength, more growth, more destiny. That whisper is what kept you going. That whisper is what carried you through the darkness when others thought you'd never see the light again. That whisper is what carried you through the darkness when others thought you'd never see the light again. That whisper was your spirit reminding you, you are built for more than this moment. And now, the moment you rise, everything will begin to shift. Opportunities will appear that once seemed impossible. Doors will open that were once locked. Connections will form that were once out of reach. Blessings will find you that once felt distant. Why? Because when you rise higher than where you fell, you step into alignment with the purpose that was waiting for you all along. You step into a season where everything you went through finally makes sense. You step into a space where your strength becomes your advantage, not your burden. You will rise higher because you are no longer held back by the things that once limited you. You have learned to let go of people who do not value you. You have learned to protect your peace. You have learned to trust the process even when it hurt. You have learned to love yourself without conditions. You have learned to stop settling for less than what you deserve. And those lessons become the wings that lift you above the level where you once fell. People who once doubted you will watch your rise with disbelief, not because you weren't capable, but because they never expected someone they overlooked to reach heights they can't even imagine. And that is the beauty of your journey. Your rise will not be fueled by bitterness, but by purpose. You are not rising to prove them wrong. You are rising to become who you were always meant to be. Their doubts served a purpose. Their disrespect served a purpose. Their distance served a purpose. All of it pushed you to grow. All of it pushed you to elevate. All of it pushed you to rise above the very level where you once fell. Your comeback will be so powerful because it will be rooted in truth, strength, and divine timing. You won't rush it. You won't force it. You won't fake it. You will rise naturally, steadily, and undeniably. And when you do, it will not only lift you, it will inspire everyone watching. People will learn from your resilience. They will learn from your courage. They will learn from your refusal to give up. They will learn that pain is not a prison, but a passage. They will learn that setbacks are not endings, but invitations to evolve. They will learn that anyone who has the courage to stand again will always rise higher than before. There is a new chapter waiting for you, a chapter filled with breakthroughs, healing, abundance, clarity, and elevation. You are stepping into a season where the weight you once carried will become your strength, where the tears you shed will become your wisdom, where the storms you survived will become your testimony. And when you walk into that season, you will not walk in timidly. You will walk in with confidence, with gratitude, with power, and with purpose, because you know what it takes to rise. You know what it takes to rebuild. You know what it takes to grow from pain into power. So lift your head, straighten your back, breathe deeply. You are not returning to where you were. You are rising to where you belong, higher than the hurt, higher than the disappointment, higher than the betrayal, higher than the doubt, higher than the fall. You will not rise to the level you fell from. You will rise far beyond it. And when the world sees it, they will understand that the setback they cheered for was nothing more than the beginning of a comeback none of them were prepared to witness.